Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of Turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Perez, Fernando Alonso, and Hamilton, Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, and Lando Norris, Bottas, Ricciardo, Lance Stroll and Albon, Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen and Nicholas Latifi, Joe, Richard Verschoor, Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and the owner driver. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Can I get your take on Ferrari? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going. Okay, so let's go through all the gears if you can. We need to make sure the engagement is okay before the start. We're going to want to put some temperature into the tyres and brakes. We need to keep the engine cool though, so don't go too high with the revs. Conditions look stable at the moment, no rain. Okay, the start was fine. Let's try and move forward. Gasly's ahead of you. Less than a second separates you. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 15.1. DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone. Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus. Okay, you're in the dirty air of the car in front. Let's get past them. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good. Richard's in the pits. Richard is in the pit lane now. Brilliant, nice move, keep going. Now running in P7, P7. That's Gasly ahead. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 5.2 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 6 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was a 1:08.4. Okay, we're dropping back by around 4/10 a lap. Give it everything you got. Gasly's ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 5.3 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, their tyres are 7 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1:08.7. Right, you're falling back by 1/10 a lap. Richard's coming in for his stop. Okay, gap ahead is 5.7 seconds. Alonso's ahead of you, and gap to the car in front is 9.1 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 9 laps old. We think they've got 1 more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:08.3. Okay, we're dropping back by around 4/10 a lap. Give it everything you got. Okay, Sonoda's behind you. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 12 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 09.7. Okay, be aware, the grip levels are going to start falling away soon. We're approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hards next time. Caution, caution. Okay, be aware there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 10.5 seconds. Okay, we want you to pit this lap, so push now, push. Richard's in the pits. Richard is in the pit lane now. Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that. Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this compound. Gasly's ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 10.7 seconds. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 08.3. Okay, gap ahead. That's Gasly ahead, and gap to the car in front is 11.6 seconds. They're on old mediums, and the time last lap was a 1:08.2. Okay, so you're gaining by 1/10 a lap. Gasly is in the pits. Leclerc is behind you. Our gap behind is 2.9 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 6 laps old. Time last lap was a 1 minute 07.6. Leclerc behind. Okay, the gap behind is 2.8 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 6 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1:07.6. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 18.0 seconds. Alonso ahead. Our gap to the car in front is 18.0 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 6 laps old. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 08.0. All right, at the moment you're losing 0.3 a lap. Come on, dig in. Dropping a second a lap to the car behind. 1 second. Next car is an Alpine. Okay, here's some information on Latifi. Leclerc is behind you, and the gap behind us is 1.1 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Okay, they've done 10 laps on those tyres. Looks like the car behind has a small amount of damage to the front wing, but it doesn't seem to be affecting performance. Just be aware. Time last lap was a 1:10.4. Okay, gap ahead is 21.1 seconds. Gap to the car in front is 24.0 seconds. Yes, that's P6. Okay, that's us with 5 laps of fuel remaining, 5 laps of fuel left. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 26.7 seconds. Some information on Perez. Okay, they're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car. Okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now. The car behind is dropping back by about 0.3 a lap. Well done. You're definitely going to feel the effects from here on out, I'm afraid. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. Okay, there's been an incident on track resulting in loose debris. Fortunately, the marshals have managed to clear it up in time and there are so far no plans for a safety car. All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's it then for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Austria. And a truly magnificent drive to hang on and take the win. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here. Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. Well, not the result our points leader would have wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Carlos Sainz certainly wasn't someone to scoff about. His ability to follow race strategies throughout with pinpoint precision has to be commended.
Let's move on to the constructors. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.